the screen remains dark. You hear the first gentle piano notes of David Phelps's hit song, No More Night. Then he sings the first line as if heaven had just opened, his voice strong and clean. The note keeps rising until the well-known high B-flat, the one from the 2010 Gaither film that still gives many the chills, is heard. On the recording, the audience is yelling. After that, there was stillness. A hard cut to nothing. David and Lori Phelps have kept a secret so big it almost destroyed them. Is written in white characters on a black screen for 31 years. Tonight, at 55 years old, David Phelps is finally exposing his wife, the narrator says in a steady, clear voice, and revealing the reality that the Christian music industry was unaware of. David Phelps accomplished something he never would have imagined doing tonight, at the age of 55. In front of 2,000 fans who had admired his voice for decades, he finally revealed his wife on stage. Not to humiliate her, not to harm her, but to set her free, to set them both free. David and Lori Phelps had a secret that nearly destroyed their marriage for 31 years. Lori was diagnosed with cancer twice, once at the age of 24, 6 weeks after giving birth to their first child, and again in 2008, when she was unable to walk due to severe back pain. David slept on hospital floors, canceled gigs, flew across the nation in the middle of the night, and appeared to be okay in front of the cameras the following day. They kept it a secret. Not the Gaither household, not the admirers, not even the majority of their pals. They were afraid that promoters would cease contacting David if the gospel community found out that Lori was ill, so they decided to remain silent. They decided to tell the falsehood that everything was flawless, and the deception was successful for 31 years. The world witnessed the ideal ministry, the ideal family, and the ideal relationship. However, the deceit was killing them at home. David claims that the burden of hiding caused him and Lori to argue on several occasions. He spent nights sobbing by himself in hotel restrooms out of fear that he would lose her and that no one would even be aware of his brokenness. Then March 2025 arrived. After 30 years of anxiety, the scan revealed no evidence of disease. "No more hiding," David remarked, glancing at Lori. "You are the strongest woman I have ever met, and the world needs to know that." Thus, David was honest on that cruise ship stage tonight. He described how Lori battled cancer while holding a baby, how she grinned in the front row despite wearing wigs and losing her hair, how she defeated death twice while everyone applauded her husband without realizing she was the true hero. The only sound in the room when he was done talking was sobbing. "We should have carried this with you," muttered Bill Gaither as he approached and gave them both a hug. "Tonight, David and Lori want you to hear this. If you're hiding anything, pain, fear, humiliation, or illness, stop. You are not protected by the secret. You get poisoned. You are not killed by the truth. The secret nearly succeeded. God never left us in the dark," Lori added, gazing into the camera with eyes full of tears and 31 years of triumph. Her words will stick with everyone who heard them. All he did was wait for us to switch on the light. Together they sang the final line of No More Night. "And the tears of the saints will be gone," after David clasped her hand. David Phelps. Who is he? You are familiar with David Phelps if you are familiar with gospel music. The dude has the ability to make you cry by singing a phone book. 10 years as the lead tenor of the Gaither vocal band, 15 solo recordings, 4 gorgeous children, and an apparently flawless marriage. He is the one who enters the stage wearing a plain black shirt, closes his eyes, and all of a sudden 20,000 people feel as though they are in God's presence. His rendition of Virtuoso continues to win people over. His high notes are legendary. And Lori Phelps, his wife, has been the happy woman in the front row with the infants for 31 years. After being married in 1993, they were the ideal Christian couple that everyone aspired to be. The ideal image. Everyone had faith. Take a look at any old Gaither homecoming video from the 1990s and 2000s. Lori is constantly in the front row, sobbing, clapping, and grinning up at David as if he were the moon. Every year, family Christmas pictures are taken. Adorable Instagram pictures of kids' graduations and romantic nights. Together, they sang duets. All 4 of their children are angelic singers and devote themselves to Jesus. Their lives appeared to be a living hymn to worship from the outside. There was a storm beneath those grins, but no one ever knew. The first crack, 1994, a year following the nuptials. This is where the true story begins. 1994, less than a year has passed since David and Lori tied the knot. Callie, their first child, is just 6 weeks old. Lori begins to experience nocturnal sweats, swollen glands, and exhaustion. She believes it's simply tiredness from being a new mother. A visit to the doctor leads to blood tests, which lead to a biopsy. Stage 3. Hodgkin's lymphoma is the final diagnosis. Her age is 24. When they sit down, the doctors tell them they have a 50-50 chance of living for 5 years. David informs promoters that the baby is ill and cancels half of his tour dates. In the hospital room, he and Lori pledged that no one in the gospel music industry will ever find out. They were afraid that promoters would stop hiring David if they learned that Lori had cancer. So they grinned, said nothing, and secretly began the battle of their lives. The covert agreement. On that day, they formed an agreement that lasted for 31 years. No interviews regarding illness. There were no pleas for a prayer from the stage. When Lori's hair went out, she told people she just wanted a fresh look and wore wigs. In between performances, David took a plane home to comfort her while she puked from chemotherapy. Their parents were aware. Their pastor was aware of it. That was all. They concluded that the ministry outweighed their suffering. They concluded that it was morally right to safeguard David's career. They bore the burden alone for 31 years. 2008, the darkest year. Let's move on to 2008. The cancer returns. It's in her spine this time. On certain days, the pain is so severe that she is unable to stand. In order to avoid being discovered, David surreptitiously takes her to the MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston under her maiden name. After filming Gaither videos in Nashville on Friday, he boards an aircraft early on Saturday, spends the night on a cot next to her hospital bed, and returns on Monday to sing as if nothing had happened. Mark Lowry, who saw David sobbing backstage in Birmingham one evening and said he would never tell anyone, was the only member of the Gaither family to ever know the truth. That, according to David, was the closest he ever got to giving up music entirely. The falsehood that nearly destroyed them. The internet begins to murmur by 2015. People observe that Lori appears skinny in photos. There may be marital issues, according to message boards. David is even accused by others of concealing something negative. Rather of being honest, they intensify the deception. Just tired from chasing kids is one of Lori's captions for her happy photos taken from chemotherapy chairs. David is consumed by his own guilt. He claims that on some occasions, he and Lori got into arguments since the secret was ruining their positive relationship. Protecting a fictitious image nearly cost them their marriage. March 2025. The moment. Everything changed. March of 2025. Lori is scheduled for a 30-year scan. They have been waiting 30 years to hear the words, completely clean, as the doctor enters the room with the results. No signs of illness. David sobs uncontrollably as he turns to see Lori across the room. That's it, he declares in the doctor's office. Today is the last day of the secret. I'm sick of keeping the strongest lady I've ever met a secret. Together, they decide that it's time to be honest. Gaither Cruise. The Live Confession, October 2025. Midway through the Gaither Homecoming Cruise's major concert in October 2025. End of the Beginning is being sung by David. He brings Lori on stage, stops the band halfway through, and requests that the lights be turned on. There is a total silence among the 2,000 passengers. David shares the full story. The initial diagnosis, the covert treatments, the nights he feared losing her, the guilt, for the first time in front of the entire gospel community. The room is in tears when he's done. Son, we had no idea what you were carrying, Bill Gaither says into the microphone as he approaches them both while crying. Please pardon us for not recognizing your suffering. Final thoughts from David and Lori. The current day. David and Lori are seated next to one another, holding hands and staring directly into the camera. Tonight I exposed my wife. Not to hurt her, but to honor her, says David, his voice breaking. The strongest lady I've ever met battled cancer twice before turning 35, yet she never showed her tears to anyone. To safeguard my job, I concealed her struggle. The concealment ends tonight. If you're carrying something too heavy, sickness, shame, fear, please hear me, Lori says with a tearful smile. You are not killed by the truth. The secret nearly succeeded. For 31 years, God carried us. Allow him to carry you as well. After 31 years of storms, secrets, and unwavering love, they sing the final verse of No More Night together. their voices flawlessly harmonizing.